everyone. Welcome back to the Tickets Toward Success podcast. I'm your host, Tucker Nunakoven. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about two supplements that I believe are the core when it comes to fitness, when it comes to endurance, and when it comes to general health. Those two supplements are creatine and electrolytes. I truly believe that these two supplements play a vital role, not only in performance, but in health as well. And it doesn't just have to be for athletes or for people that work out. I think that they have benefits for people that are just cautious about their general health overall. So the general public can benefit from these two supplements too. And I think that there's not a lot of relayed information out there about that as well. I also think that these two supplements are two of the most misunderstood products on the market and why they are so important for performance and for general health. So hopefully today I can provide some insight as to why they are so important. I want to start with creatine. And I think that creatine is super underrated. I think that everybody should be taking creatine every single day. Now, what is creatine? Creatine is naturally found in our muscles, in our brain. Our bodies naturally produce creatine. It is a chemical compound that synthesizes in the liver, kidneys, and the pancreas. Creatine actually helps our body recycle ATP, adenosine triphosphate. I'm surprised that I actually said that correctly on the first try. But creatine helps us make more ATP. ATP is our body's quickest and most immediate energy source. We use it when we have explosive efforts. So if I just raise my hand really fast like that, or if I'm doing high knees, we are using ATP. We also use it when we're lifting weights or we're doing sprints. Anything that is a quick movement, we are using ATP as our energy source. Now, the crazy thing about creatine, and which confuses me as to why more people don't take it, is creatine is actually the most studied supplement in the entire world, specifically creatine monohydrate. There are over 1,000 clinical studies that back its safety and effectiveness. It supports performance and cognitive health, especially as we age. So the confusing part to me is there's all this information, there's all this research, all this data on creatine. And a lot of people do talk about creatine and how important it is, but not everybody takes it consistently every single day. And if it helps us as we age, why wouldn't you want to take something that has proven to benefit us as we get older? Now, there is actually some research as well that suggests that you can actually become 10% stronger when supplementing with creatine monohydrate. Whether that's accurate or not, I have no idea. But I do believe that creatine obviously helps with supporting muscle growth, especially lean muscle growth. So if you're lifting or if you're running, if you're doing any form of fitness, it's an essential to have creatine as one of your supplements that you take. It works both great for men and women. There is no scalability there. It's equally as important for both of them. Most of the studies out of the 1,000 clinical studies, and I kind of touched on this earlier, Those studies were done with creatine monohydrate. So if you're going to get any form of creatine, make sure that it's tested for one, and then also that it's creatine monohydrate. There's a lot of different creatines out there, so be careful when you are looking to purchase a product. Creatine monohydrate is what is recommended for the best results when it comes to performance, cognitive function, or getting the purest form of creatine into your body. Now, how much creatine should you take? It all depends because it depends on how much you weigh, your gender, and what you're using creatine for. Dosages usually vary. Usually 5 grams is fine for most people. That's usually what is recommended on the back of the packaging as well. 1 scoop is 5 grams, and that's a serving. But if you really wanted to get more technical with it, you could do 0.1 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So for example, I am 83 kilos, which is 183 pounds. So 8.3 grams of creatine is what I should be taking. And what I take right now is I take 2 scoops, which is just 10 grams of creatine. It's also good to mention, though, that you can get creatine from your diet too, but usually it's only in small amounts. You can get creatine from eating red meats, from eating wild caught fish. These are great sources to get natural creatine in from your diet. But like I said, usually it's very, very small amounts, and you usually need to supplement in order to get the correct amount that your body needs for your goals, performance, and cognitive function. Now, there's a lot of benefits of creatine. It increases strength and power output, so helping you lift heavier and increasing muscle mass. It also improves muscle recovery, which is vital when it comes to performance and fitness. And it also betters brain function and memory, which not only helps in the present, but helps in the future too as you age. There could be possible benefits as well in combating neurological diseases like Parkinson's and depression. There are some PubMed studies available on how creatine affects those certain diseases. Whether it's true or not, I obviously do not know. I'm no scientist. I don't dig too far into the data, but I think it's important to be aware that not only can this supplement help in fitness, help in brain function, cognitive function, and memory, but it can also play a role in these neurological diseases like Parkinson's and depression as well. Creatine also helps with hydration because it pulls water into the muscles. That's why it's so good for recovery. That's why it's so good to increase muscle mass, because it's helping hydrate your cells that are in your muscles and therefore helping them recover faster and get bigger and stronger along the way. Hey everyone, just want to take a quick break from this episode to thank you. Thank you for all the support that you've shown the podcast. If you haven't already, please subscribe, download the podcast, and leave a comment on this video. Let me know what you thought, or let me know some of the suggestions that you may have for future episodes. Once again, I thank you for all the support that you've shown. I have a lot of great episodes coming up with many, many different guests, some being Ironman athletes, some being ultramarathon athletes, and I'm super, super excited to bring their perspective on not only fitness, but life as well to the podcast for all of you. So thanks again, and let's get back to the episode. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about electrolytes, which is, in my mind, equally important as creatine. I think electrolytes are so important when it comes to performance and endurance, strength, and overall just being healthy and staying hydrated. Electrolytes to some of the general public are looked at as bad because electrolytes are sodium, salt, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. And sodium or salt is the most important when it comes to exercise performance and staying hydrated. Salt actually increases our blood volume, which is a good thing during exercise, and we want that. A higher blood volume allows for a more efficient delivery of oxygen and nutrients to the working muscles that you're using during that exercise. It also improves heat dissipation and enhanced cardiovascular function. So not only is it important when we're lifting weights to have that in our system, it's also very, very important to have when we're running, when we're doing endurance events, because we need that enhanced cardiovascular function. We need that higher blood volume, and we need to stay hydrated when we're doing those endurance events. Because when we're doing these high effort endurance events, we are losing so much water that we need to make sure we are replenishing it into our body, or else we can suffer from cramps, fatigue, lightheadedness, and even passing out. So it's super, super important. Our brains and our muscles work on electrical charges, and electrolytes help to better conduct those charges in our bodies. When electrolytes are balanced in the brain and the muscle, the signal is stronger. And in return, leading to stronger contractions during exercise, it leads to better brain functionality. It leads to less brain fog because it's just like everything is clicking on all cylinders when these signals are at the peak and at their strongest. This can obviously create an increase in strength and over time muscle growth as well when it comes to exercise. And it can also increase the strength of your memory, of your brain, of the way that you go about life. It's very, very fascinating that electrolytes play this big of impact, not only on fitness, but in our day-to-day lives. They also help our body maintain fluid balance, nerve function, and muscle contractions. Now, why are they super, super essential? They're critical for endurance and preventing cramps. Like I stated earlier, they help regulate heart rhythm and blood pressure as well. It also promotes better hydration than just drinking straight up water, especially during workouts or in heat. Electrolytes help push the water into the cells, therefore actually hydrating our bodies, our muscles, and keeping us in a state of hydration. If you're just drinking water, if you've ever felt waterlogged when you drink a ton of water, or you're not having any electrolytes in your system, you're going to feel still fatigued and tired and feel like you're just, all that water is sitting in your stomach. That's why you have to have electrolytes after a workout, during a workout, or just throughout the day to make sure that you're staying hydrated. There's a few signs that you could look out for that you might be deficient in electrolytes. Headaches, number one. I know for me, when I first started learning about electrolytes, what I started doing was drinking a big glass of water in the morning with some Celtic sea salt in it. And now I use Baja Gold salt. And that would eliminate my headaches later in the day. I used to get really bad headaches like around 3, 4, 5 p.m. And it just felt like it wasn't like a really bad, strong headache, but it was just like constantly there. And after I started adding some salt in the morning to my water, that helped tremendously with that. And it also just helped hydrate me in the mornings because we always wake up dehydrated from sleeping. But the other signs would be fatigue, dizziness, muscle cramps. Like I said earlier, you could also be suffering from poor sleep or elevated resting heart rate, which is a key factor. And then dehydration symptoms, even when you drink a lot of water. Just feeling like you don't have a lot of energy, feeling like you got a lot of brain fog, you could be experiencing some dehydration. Now, how do electrolytes actually benefit the general public as well, and not just athletes or people that prioritize exercise at a different level? Maybe there's some people that only work out 3 days a week because that's what they like to do, and they're playing more of the longevity role, and they just want to make sure that they're staying active. I still think that it's super beneficial to take electrolytes. You don't need to be an athlete to benefit from electrolytes and from what it can provide you. Just being a busy, active adult means that you still lose a lot of electrolytes through sweat, stress, or if you drink coffee or energy drinks, you are still losing a lot of electrolytes out of your system every single day. So when you're losing a lot throughout your system every single day, you want to make sure that you're at least consuming a serving of electrolytes, whether that be through Baja Gold Salt, Celtic Sea Salt, or a trusted and third-party tested electrolyte supplement. And I'll give you a few of those. The one that I use is Relight Hydration. You can also use LMNT. They're good as well. You can use BPN's electrolytes. Santa Cruz Paleo has some good electrolytes. It really depends on, it really doesn't matter as long as it's third-party tested and you actually trust that brand. I would stick with a brand that you believe in and that you trust. I use Relight just because I like the flavors it has, the ingredients, and it's the cheapest for the amount of servings that I get. So I save a little bit of money there. And it's just been a really good product. And that's what I initially started off with. You can also use Optimized Minerals, which is another great product. I don't personally take it just because it is very expensive, but it has all the essential minerals in it as well as electrolytes. It's a little bit low on sodium. So if you wanted to add some of that Celtic sea salt or Baja Gold Salt to it in the morning, you could do that as well. But I just think it's super important that we are aware that everybody should be consuming at least a serving of electrolytes every single day. And I will stand behind that statement until the day that I'm no longer here, because we get so dehydrated throughout the day. If we're just drinking water, we're not getting enough hydration. If we're drinking coffee, we're dehydrating ourselves. A lot of people drink alcohol obsessively or just casually, and they don't rehydrate. They think that just drinking water will rehydrate them. Well, you get extremely dehydrated from drinking alcohol or consuming alcohol. So you need to make sure that you're replenishing those electrolytes correctly. And that's going to help you feel a lot better, especially when you're hungover. But it's just something that I want everyone to be aware of how important it actually is. And it's funny because my girlfriend, I used to always tell her, get electrolytes because she always has headaches or used to suffer from headaches. And she finally decided to get one or the Relight that I take and try that. And she's enjoyed it. And I think that it's helped her just stay hydrated more frequently throughout the day. And I just think it's so beneficial for everyone to at least consider taking it in some way or form, whether that be through just throwing some in a big glass of water in the morning and hydrating yourself. That honestly might be enough for most people that aren't as active as athletes or as people that take fitness to a different seriousness level. So just definitely do your own research, look into it, and see what I'm actually talking about and why I believe in it so much. I also want to say that if I am running during the day, I usually consume 2 servings of electrolytes just because I personally sweat a lot. So I will usually take some electrolytes beforehand in the form of G1M Sport. So I'm getting electrolytes and carbohydrates in there. And then I also put some Celtic sea salt in that G1M Sport to give me more electrolytes, specifically sodium. and then I will replenish with electrolytes after I run with the Relight to make sure that I am replenishing what I lost during that run. Now, I don't consider myself as a myth buster, but we're going to bust some common myths today on creatine and electrolytes. For one, because I'm sick of seeing a lot of videos out there stating that creatine's bad for you, electrolytes are bad for you, blah, 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 blah. No. So, first one is about creatine. Creatine makes you fat or bloated. Really? Really? No. Truth is, it's because water retention in the muscles, right? Creatine helps put water into the muscles. It does not cause you to gain fat. So having that water retention in the muscle is actually beneficial for strength, recovery, and muscle repair, just like we touched on. You will not bloat from creatine, and it's also not bad for your kidneys. The reason that you do not bloat is because the water that is held by creatine is intracellular. That means that it's inside of the muscle. So therefore, creatine does not cause bloating. Myth number 2, creatine is only for bodybuilders. Come on. I feel like bodybuilders may have started this myth because they didn't want everyone to experience the great effects of creatine. The truth is it benefits endurance athletes, students, older adults, and even women too. Even people who don't train intensively can benefit cognitively and physically from creatine. I told y'all it's the most studied supplement in the world. Why would you not take the most studied supplement in the world with thousands and thousands and thousands of case studies proving the data behind creatine? A lot of people are not getting enough creatine from their diet. It needs to be supplemented into their diet, regardless of who you are, what your goals are, and what you do. Myth number 3, electrolytes are bad because sodium. I said this earlier when we started on the electrolyte part. Your body needs sodium to function properly. The myth that salt's bad for you, don't salt your food, is complete BS. Our bodies need sodium. Processed foods are bad, and some forms of salt are bad. It all depends on where you source it. Natural sodium is a essential. Low sodium in our bodies equals low energy, brain fog, and poor workout performance, especially if you are endurance training. There's studies that show, lots of studies, that sodium with potassium and magnesium improves hydration and recovery. We need sodium. We need all of the electrolytes, but specifically sodium is the most important. Buy trusted brands of salt. I buy Redmond's Real Salt because it's sourced extremely well. Don't go and buy a bunch of kosher salt or the big salts from Costco. Make sure that you're doing some research. I don't really pay that much extra for the salt that I get that's sourced extremely well. Just be aware of what you actually need. Myth number 4, you only need electrolytes when you're dehydrated. This is an extremely bad mindset to have because you need to stay ahead of your hydration before you get dehydrated. Daily electrolyte support will equal consistent energy, less fatigue, and better focus. You can't just wait until you're dehydrated to consume electrolytes because it's not going to work properly. Yes, it will help you replenish, but you need to be hydrated before you go into a workout, and you need to hydrate after a workout to make sure that your body is equal on the correct level that your body needs to function at. So I briefly want to just talk about how I personally use creatine and electrolytes. I've kind of touched on this just a little bit, but I want to make sure that everybody understands exactly what I do as someone that prioritizes fitness when it comes to strength training and when it comes to endurance training, whether that be running, biking, swimming, doesn't matter. So for creatine, like I said, I'm 83 kilos. So that means that I should get 8.3 grams of creatine every single day, but I do 10 grams, just 2 servings, 2 scoops of my creatine. The creatine that I get is from Bulk Supplements, which is a trusted company, third party, and it's extremely cheap creatine monohydrate. And that's why I get it. If I could afford it, I'd probably get creatine from BPN because, and he just talked about this on his podcast the other day, their creatine is sourced from, I can't remember the name of it. Here, let me maybe try and look it up. I'm pretty sure it's sourced from like the most pure form of creatine monohydrate. It says BPN's creatine is sourced from Creapure. That's what it is. A brand name for pure creatine monohydrate manufactured by Alzchem Trostberg GmbH in Germany. Creapure is known for its high purity and is widely researched form or is a widely researched form of creatine monohydrate. So they're getting their creatine from an extremely pure and third-party tested source. So if I could afford it, that's probably where I would go. But as of right now in my life, I go with bulk supplements, and I think it's perfectly fine as well. Now, creatine is not necessarily a pre-workout, so I just take it whenever. Usually, I will take it with my first serving of electrolytes. I'll just throw my electrolytes in some water, 16 to 18 ounces of water, and two scoops of creatine. Consistency is what matters the most with creatine, taking it every single day. And sometimes, like, I plan my electrolytes around my workouts. So I'll either take it after I run or about an hour before I hit the gym, because that's when I'm taking my electrolytes, because I want to be hydrated before I go to the gym. And then I also want to replenish after I get back from a run. So that's just usually when I'm taking mine. But please keep in mind, you don't have to get as technical as me. I'm just weird like that. You can really take it whenever you want throughout the day. Now, electrolytes are a little bit different. Still want to take it consistently, but it does kind of matter when you take it. I would use them, or I do use them before a run, after I run, and before and after sauna sessions or a big sweat session. My go-tos, like I've stated already in this episode, Baja Gold Salt or Celtic Sea Salt, Relay Hydration, and then G1M Sport with carbs and electrolytes, and I add a little bit of extra sodium in there as well. When you're looking to source electrolyte products, look for no sugar added, look for good amounts of sodium and magnesium in terms of ratio, and then just look for clean ingredients. I definitely would say when I started taking these, I felt a lot of benefits, especially when I upped my creatine to 10 grams instead of 5, just with muscle recovery, with strength in the gym, and building lean muscle. Electrolytes, I definitely have felt a better focus when it comes to brain fog, when it comes to fatigue. When I first started running, I didn't really know a lot about electrolytes or fueling for running. So I didn't really take electrolytes. I would just drink water all the time. And I've noticed now that when I'm supplementing my electrolytes in, even if it's a hot day, I perform a lot better because my body is usually a lot more hydrated and I just feel better throughout the day. Okay, lastly, I just want to touch on once more what to look for in quality supplements when it comes to creatine monohydrate. The gold standard: avoid creatine blends with fillers or fancy marketing. Just find a trusted company, a trusted product that you believe in and that you could get behind and use theirs. Electrolytes, same exact thing. Supplements should supplement a solid diet, So make sure you're getting the basics right as well. Whole foods, eliminating processed foods, eliminating bad sodium. You don't want to have that bad sodium in your diet because that's where you can start to run into some problems. With that being said, though, that's really it for today's episode. I kept it short and sweet today because while these topics are so important and these supplements are so important, it's very straightforward. Creatine is the most supplemented or most studied supplement in the entire world. It has many different benefits that has data back behind it. So why would you not take it? Now, electrolytes, I could see people being skeptical about electrolytes if they don't work out to a certain degree. If you are someone that works out a lot, does strength, endurance, you need electrolytes. If you're not doing it right now, you are missing out on performance. You are missing out on recovery. Electrolytes are the most essential supplement when it comes to endurance and strength training. And both of these are essential for cognitive function. Both of these are essential for mental clarity, focus, and less fatigue throughout the day. But that is it for today's episode on the podcast. Leave a comment if you could, subscribe, like it, follow all the socials. I'll link them down in the show notes. And as always, just thank you so much for being with me today. And I will see everyone in the next episode.